Marcus Kane never imagined his life would change because of a small piece of plastic on a rainy sidewalk. The black credit card gleamed under the streetlight, almost invisible against the wet pavement until it caught his eye. He was exhausted after his 10-hour shift at the construction site, his muscles aching and his mind focused only on picking up his daughter from the after-school program before they charged him another late fee he couldn't afford. But something made him stop. "What's that, Daddy?" 6-year-old Lily asked, tugging at his weathered hand. He just collected her moments earlier, apologizing profusely to the staff for being 7 minutes late again. "Someone dropped their credit card," he replied, bending down with a groan as his back protested. The card was sleek, heavier than most, with the name Emma Lawson embossed on the front. Lily peered at it curiously. "Are we going to keep it?" Kane Peterson shook his head immediately. "No, sweetheart. Someone's probably worried sick about losing this." He pocketed the card and looked around the nearly empty street. The upscale shopping district wasn't his usual route home, but road construction had forced him to take this detour through a part of town that made him acutely aware of his worn work boots and faded jeans. "But we could buy you new dance shoes," Lily whispered, her small face serious. "Mine have holes." Kane's heart clenched. He knew about the holes. He'd been trying to save for new ones, but the water heater had broken last month and then the car needed repairs. At 34, he hadn't expected to be a single father working 2 jobs and still barely making ends meet. "That's not how we do things, Lily Bug," he said gently. "We'll figure out the dance shoes, I promise." As they walked toward the bus stop, Kane noticed a woman frantically searching the ground about 50 feet ahead. She wore a simple gray hoodie and jeans, her dark blonde hair partially hidden under a baseball cap. Despite the casual attire, something about her seemed out of place in a way he couldn't quite identify. "Excuse me," he called out, approaching cautiously. "Did you lose something?" The woman whirled around, her eyes widening with momentary alarm before she composed herself. "Yes, actually. My credit card. I must have dropped it when I took out my phone." Up close, Kane was struck by her eyes, an unusual shade of green that reminded him of sea glass. She was beautiful in an understated way, without makeup and dressed simply, yet there was an unmistakable elegance to her posture and speech. "Emma Lawson?" he asked, pulling out the card. The relief on her face was palpable. "Yes, that's me. Thank you so much." As she reached for the card, their fingers brushed, and Kane felt an unexpected jolt of awareness. "I'm Kane," he said, suddenly feeling awkward. "And this is my daughter, Lily." "Hello, Lily," Emma said, crouching down to the child's level with a natural ease that surprised him. "Thank you and your dad for finding my card. That was very honest of you both," Lily beamed. "Daddy says honesty is one of our most important values." Emma glanced up at him with something like approval in her eyes. "Your daddy is right." Standing up, she seemed reluctant to end the encounter. "Let me thank you properly. Could I buy you both dinner? There's a nice place just around the corner." Kane instantly tensed. Pride had been his companion for too long. "That's really not necessary. Anyone would have done the same." "No, they wouldn't," Emma said quietly. "And I'm actually starving and hate eating alone. You'd be doing me a favor." Lily tugged at his hand. "Daddy, I'm hungry too." Kane looked down at his daughter's hopeful face, then back at the woman who was watching them with a kind but guarded expression. His instinct said she was genuine, though something about her remained mysterious. "Just a quick meal," he conceded, knowing Lily would be thrilled not to have reheated macaroni tonight. The nice place turned out to be an unassuming family restaurant with checkered tablecloths and the best chicken parmesan Kane had tasted in years. As they ate, Emma asked questions about Lily's school and interests, showing genuine delight when the little girl talked about her dance classes. "I used to dance," Emma confided. "Ballet mostly until I was about 16. "I do ballet," Lily exclaimed. "But my shoes have holes and Daddy says—" "Lily," Kane interrupted gently, embarrassment heating his face. Emma pretended not to notice his discomfort. "Dance shoes wear out so quickly at your age. You must practice a lot." Throughout dinner, Kane found himself studying Emma when she wasn't looking. She was clearly educated and well off, judging by her credit card and the subtle watch on her wrist that he suspected cost more than his monthly rent. Yet she was careful in how she spoke, as if measuring each word. "So what do you do, Emma?" he finally asked. A moment of hesitation flashed across her face. "I'm in business management, nothing exciting." "She's being modest," said a man who had suddenly appeared at their table. Tall and expensively dressed, he looked at Emma with clear recognition. "Emma Lawson, as I live and breathe, thought you were in Tokyo this week." Emma's posture changed instantly, stiffening as she offered a tight smile. "Richard, what a surprise." "Not as surprised as I am," Richard replied, eyes darting between Emma and Kane with undisguised curiosity. "The papers would love this little scene." "Richard," Emma said with quiet authority, "this is a private dinner. It was nice seeing you." The dismissal was polite but unmistakable. Richard raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Of course, enjoy your evening." As he walked away, he glanced back with undisguised interest. An uncomfortable silence fell over the table until Lily broke it. "Who was that man?" Emma sighed. "Someone I work with." She turned to Kane with an apologetic expression. "I should probably go. Thank you for a lovely dinner." "We should be thanking you," Kane replied, confused by the sudden change but recognizing her desire to leave. As Emma settled the bill, Kane took Lily to use the restroom. When they returned, Emma was waiting by the door, her face troubled. "I'm sorry about that interruption," she said. "Would you mind walking with me a bit? I'd like to explain something." Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening under the streetlights. Lily skipped ahead, chasing puddle reflections while staying within sight. "That man recognized you," Kane observed, "and not just as a coworker." Emma was quiet for a moment, then seemed to make a decision. "My full name is Emma Lawson, CEO of Lawson Enterprises." Kane halted mid-step. Lawson Enterprises was a multi-billion-dollar technology and clean energy conglomerate. Even he knew that name. "You're that Emma Lawson, the one who was on the cover of Business Week," she nodded, looking uncomfortable. "I've been avoiding public appearances lately. There have been some threats. Industrial espionage attempts. My security team thinks someone's trying to get access to our new energy storage technology before we unveil it next month." "So you're hiding in plain sight," Kane said slowly. "No security detail, dressed down. That's why you seemed startled when I approached you." "Yes, I slipped away from my usual security this afternoon. Sometimes I need to remember what normal life feels like." Emma glanced at Lily, who was twirling on the sidewalk ahead of them. "Your daughter is wonderful." Kane felt suddenly self-conscious. "Thank you, she's everything to me." Emma hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Kane, I don't usually do this, but would you and Lily allow me to see you again, perhaps this weekend? I know a place with a wonderful view of the harbor where we could have a picnic if the weather holds." The request surprised him. Part of him wanted to refuse. What could a billionaire CEO possibly want with a construction worker raising a daughter on his own? But something in her eyes, a flicker of genuine loneliness, made him nod. "Lily would love that," he said, not quite admitting that he would too. Emma's smile was worth his momentary discomfort. "Wonderful. And Kane, thank you for returning my card, not just because it was the right thing to do, but because it led me to meet you both." As they exchanged numbers, Kane wondered what he was getting himself into. Emma Lawson lived in a world completely removed from his daily struggle to make rent and keep food on the table. Yet as he watched her crouch down to say goodbye to Lily, he couldn't help but feel that something important had just begun. The weekend picnic turned into regular meetings. Emma would appear without fanfare, sometimes in her casual disguise, sometimes more polished but still understated. She brought Lily a pair of new dance shoes on their third outing, top quality, but not flashy enough to draw attention from the other children. "I can't accept these," Kane had protested. "They're not for you," Emma replied simply. "They're for a talented young dancer who shouldn't have to worry about holes in her shoes." Her eyes held his. "Please, Kane, let me do this small thing." He'd relented, recognizing that her gesture came from genuine affection for Lily rather than pity for their circumstances. And when Lily twirled across the living room of their modest apartment, her face alight with joy, Kane couldn't bring himself to regret it. As autumn deepened, so did their connection. Emma never pushed to see where they lived, seeming to understand Kane's pride. Instead, they explored parks, museums, and quiet restaurants where she was unlikely to be recognized. She shared carefully edited stories of board meetings and global negotiations, while he told her about job sites and the challenges of single parenthood. Lily's mother left when she was 2. He explained one evening as they watched the little girl feeding ducks at a pond. Said she wasn't cut out for motherhood or marriage. I can't blame her entirely. We were young and I was working crazy hours trying to advance at the construction company. Emma's hand found his. Her loss, she said simply. You're an extraordinary father. I try, he admitted. Some days are harder than others. Like what? Emma asked, genuinely curious. Kane hesitated, then decided on honesty. Like when the refrigerator breaks and I have to choose between fixing it or paying for Lily's after-school program. Or when I'm so tired from working both jobs that I fall asleep during her bedtime story. Emma was quiet for a moment. You work 2 jobs, construction during the day. Evening security guard shifts 3 nights a week. He shrugged, not wanting her pity. It's not forever. I'm saving for courses to get my contractor's license. Something shifted in Emma's expression, not pity, but a thoughtful determination that Kane would come to recognize as her problem-solving face. However, she said nothing more about it that day. A week later, Kane received a call from a local construction firm looking to hire a project manager for their residential division. The position required experience rather than formal education, offered significantly better pay than his current job, and most importantly, regular daytime hours. Did you do this? He asked Emma directly when they met that weekend. She didn't insult him with denials. I mentioned your experience to someone who mentioned it to someone else. The interview is genuine, Kane. They need someone with your practical knowledge. Whether you get the job depends entirely on you. He got the job. The increased salary meant he could drop the security guard position, giving him evenings with Lily and occasional nights out with Emma. Their relationship deepened, though both carefully avoided defining exactly what they were to each other. The complication came 2 months into their friendship, when a tabloid published a blurry photo of Emma and Kane walking hand in hand through a sculpture garden, Lily skipping ahead of them. The headline read, Reclusive Tech Queen's Secret Family. Kane discovered the article when coworkers began giving him curious looks, and one finally showed him the story on his phone. By lunchtime, his phone was buzzing with messages from Emma. I'm so sorry, she said when he called her back. My security team is looking into how they found us. It's okay, he assured her, though he felt distinctly uncomfortable having his and Lily's faces, however blurred, in a national tabloid. We knew this was complicated. There was a pause before Emma spoke again. Kane, there's something I need to tell you. Can I come by your place tonight? The request surprised him. Emma had never pushed to see his apartment, seeming to understand his reluctance to highlight the disparity in their circumstances. Of course, he said, giving her the address while wondering what this development meant. That evening, after Lily was asleep, Emma arrived in a nondescript sedan driven by a discreet security officer who remained in the car. She looked tired but resolute as Kane welcomed her into the small but meticulously maintained apartment. Tea, he offered, self-conscious of the worn furniture and patched walls. That would be nice. Emma perched on the edge of his sofa, taking in the colorful artwork from Lily that adorned the refrigerator, the carefully organized bookshelf, the single-framed photo of Kane with his daughter at the beach. When he returned with 2 mugs, she accepted hers gratefully, then set it down untouched. Kane, I haven't been entirely honest with you. His stomach tightened. About why I've been maintaining such a low profile. She took a deep breath. The industrial espionage issue is real, but there's more. I've been deliberately avoiding public scrutiny because the board is considering a merger that I believe would compromise our environmental commitments and lead to significant layoffs. Kane listened as Emma explained the complex corporate politics she was navigating, the pressure from shareholders seeking short-term profits, and her determination to maintain the company's integrity. The unveiling of our new energy storage technology next week is critical. If it's as revolutionary as our tests indicate, I can leverage its potential to block the merger. She looked at him directly. But until then, I've needed to operate without drawing attention to my movements or meetings. And then I came along, Kane said, understanding dawning. A complication. Emma reached for his hand. The most wonderful complication. Kane, meeting you and Lily has been the only genuine part of my life these past months. I didn't plan it, but I'm not sorry it happened. Even with tabloids now speculating about your secret family, especially because of that. Emma's grip tightened. The thing is, Kane, I've realized something important. I don't want to hide this anymore. Not after the product launch. If I succeed in blocking this merger, I want to be open about who I am and who matters to me. Kane felt a rush of conflicting emotions. Emma, our worlds are completely different. I'm a construction worker with a second-hand sofa and a mountain of responsibilities. And I'm a woman who was born into privilege, carrying responsibilities of a different kind, she countered. But when I'm with you and Lily, I'm just Emma. Not a CEO or a Lawson. Just someone who's falling in love with a man who picked up a dropped credit card because it was the right thing to do. The word love hung between them, both an admission and a question. Kane searched her face. Are you sure? Your board, your shareholders, even your family, they'll have opinions about you dating someone like me. Emma's expression hardened slightly. I've spent my entire life exceeding expectations and proving myself. My personal happiness isn't negotiable anymore. Her features softened. But I need to know if you feel the same way. If you're willing to step into my complicated life, with all its scrutiny and demands. Kane thought about the past months, how Emma had entered their lives with respect and genuine interest, how she had helped without diminishing his dignity. How Lily had blossomed under her attention, and how he had found himself thinking of her at odd moments throughout each day, missing her when they were apart. I do feel the same, he admitted quietly, but Lily has to come first, always. I wouldn't want it any other way, Emma assured him. The technology unveiling was scheduled for a Tuesday morning at Lawson Enterprises' downtown headquarters. Emma had invited Kane to attend, though they agreed he would sit in the general audience rather than in a position that might draw additional speculation before she had secured her position against the merger attempt. The morning of the presentation, Kane dropped Lily at school with extra time to spare, promising her that they would have a special dinner that night to celebrate Emma's big day. He arrived at the gleaming glass building of Lawson Enterprises, feeling distinctly out of place despite his best suit, the only one he owned, purchased for job interviews and kept carefully maintained. A security guard checked his name against the guest list and directed him to the auditorium where the presentation would take place. The room was already filling with journalists, industry analysts, and investors, all buzzing with anticipation about the promised breakthrough. Kane found a seat toward the back, watching as board members and executives filed onto the stage and took their places. Emma was the last to appear, elegant in a tailored navy suit, her blonde hair swept into a sophisticated updo that emphasized her delicate features. In this environment, surrounded by the trappings of corporate power, she looked every inch the formidable CEO described in business profiles. Yet when her eyes found his in the crowd, the private smile she gave him was entirely the Emma he had come to know, warm, genuine, and a little mischievous. The presentation itself was technical, but compelling. Emma articulated the potential of their new energy storage system with precision and passion, explaining how it could transform renewable energy implementation globally. The demonstration was flawless, showing how the system could store and distribute power with unprecedented efficiency. When she opened the floor for questions, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Investors looked excited, journalists were furiously taking notes, and even the board members were nodding with approval. Then a voice spoke from the side of the auditorium. Miss Lawson, Richard Terrence from Global Finance. Can you address the rumors of a potential merger with Nexus Technologies, and how this new product might affect those negotiations? The room quieted as everyone turned their attention to Emma. Kane recognized Richard as the man who had interrupted their dinner months ago. Emma didn't hesitate. Lawson Enterprises has always evaluated potential partnerships based on alignment with our core values: innovation, sustainability, and responsibility toward our employees and communities. This technology represents the future of our company as an independent entity committed to those values. Her message was diplomatic, but clear there would be no merger that compromised her vision. The subtle shift of expressions among the board members told Kane that a significant corporate battle had just been publicly acknowledged. After the presentation, as attendees networked over coffee and pastries, Kane kept a respectful distance, observing Emma in her element. She moved confidently through the crowd, fielding questions and accepting congratulations with grace. He was about to slip away, planning to text her later when Emma suddenly appeared at his side. "Where do you think you're going?" she asked quietly. "I thought you'd be busy with investors and reporters," he replied. "I am," she smiled, "but I want to introduce you to some people first." Before Kane could protest, Emma was guiding him toward a small group that included several board members. "Everyone, this is Kane Peterson. Kane, these are some of my closest advisors and colleagues." Kane shook hands, acutely aware of the curious assessment in their eyes. One older board member, a woman with silver hair and sharp eyes, studied him with particular interest. "So you're the man from the tabloid photo," she said bluntly. "Billionaire," Emma admonished lightly. "It's a valid observation," Billionaire replied unapologetically. Though the photo didn't do him justice, she turned her attention fully to Kane. "What did you think of our presentation, Mr. Peterson?" Kane felt Emma tense slightly beside him, but he met Billionaire's gaze directly. "I think Miss Lawson just demonstrated why she's the right person to lead this company into the future. The technology is impressive, but her vision for its application is what will truly change lives." Billionaire's expression remained neutral, but something in her eyes shifted. Interesting perspective. She glanced at Emma. "We should continue our discussion about the board's statement against the merger proposal." As the group moved away, Emma lingered for a moment with Kane. "Thank you for coming." "I'm proud of you," he said simply. She squeezed his hand. "Dinner tonight." "I'd like to celebrate with you and Lily." "We'd like that too." The months that followed were a careful dance of public and private lives merging. Emma successfully countered the merger attempt, consolidating her control of the company while introducing Kane and Lily to her world with deliberate care. There were adjustments and challenges. Kane had to navigate the scrutiny that came with dating one of the country's most powerful businesswomen. Lily had to adapt to occasional security measures and the curiosity of classmates who had seen her picture in magazines. Emma, for her part, had to learn the rhythm of family life school events, weekend pancake breakfasts, and the unglamorous reality of caring for a child with the flu. She embraced it all with surprising enthusiasm, finding joy in the simple routines that had been absent from her privileged but isolated existence. "You know," Kane said one evening as they washed dishes side by side in his kitchen, "when I picked up that credit card, I never imagined it would lead to this." Emma smiled, passing him a plate to dry. "What dating a workaholic CEO with a target on her back?" "Finding someone who fits so perfectly into our lives," he corrected gently. "Someone Lily adores and I." Emma paused, soapy hands suspended over the sink. "And you," Kane set down the dish towel and turned to face her fully. "And I love completely." The words, finally spoken aloud, seemed to release something in both of them. Emma's eyes shimmered as she reached for him, heedless of her wet hands soaking through his shirt. "I love you too," she whispered against his lips. "You and Lily both." 6 months after the technology unveiling, Emma proposed a solution to the remaining complication in their relationship, the physical distance between her penthouse and Kane's apartment, which meant they were constantly traveling between homes. "Move in with me," she suggested one night as they sat on his small balcony, watching the city lights after Lily had gone to bed. Kane hesitated. "Emma, I don't want Lily growing up thinking money solves everything. Our apartment may be small, but it's home." "I understand that," Emma said thoughtfully. "What if we found a new place together? Something that's neither yours nor mine, but ours. A fresh start." The compromise led them to a comfortable brownstone with a small garden luxurious by Kane's standards but modest by Emma's. They furnished it together, blending his practical sensibilities with her refined taste, creating a home that reflected their united vision. On moving day, as Kane unpacked Lily's books in her new room, he found Emma standing in the doorway watching them with an expression of profound contentment. "What?" he asked, smiling at the intensity in her gaze. "I was just thinking about fate," she replied. "How different my life would be if I hadn't dropped that credit card, or if someone else had found it. Or if I'd ignored it and kept walking," Kane added, crossing the room to pull her into an embrace. Emma rested her head against his chest. "I'm glad you didn't." "Me too," Lily piped up from where she was arranging stuffed animals on her new window seat. "Because now we're a real family." Kane and Emma exchanged a meaningful look over the little girl's head. "Yes," Emma agreed softly. "We are." 1 year to the day after Kane had found the credit card, he and Emma stood in the garden of their brownstone, surrounded by a small gathering of their closest friends and family. Lily, resplendent in a flower girl dress, beamed as she scattered rose petals along the makeshift aisle. As they exchanged vows, Emma slipped a simple gold band onto Kane's finger. "I promise to remember what truly matters," she said, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. Not success or status, but love, honesty, and the family we're building together. Kane, who had once worried about the gulf between their worlds, now saw only the bridge they had constructed with patience and understanding. "I promise to stand beside you through whatever challenges come our way," he vowed. "To be your partner, your comfort, and your home." Later, as they danced under strings of garden lights, Elena, now a staunch ally, approached them with a rare smile. "You know," she told Kane, "when Emma first told the board she was dating a construction worker who found her credit card, I thought she'd lost her mind." Kane laughed. "That's a reasonable assumption." "I was wrong," Elena admitted. "You're exactly what she needed. Someone who sees Emma, not just CEO Lawson." Across the garden, Lily was teaching some of Emma's younger cousins a dance move, her confidence and joy testament to the security she felt in their newly expanded family. "She's thriving," Emma observed, following Kane's gaze. "We all are." As the evening deepened into night, the three of them, Kane, Emma, and Lily, stood together in their garden, a family formed by chance, cemented by choice, and strengthened by love that transcended their different beginnings. "You know what's funny?" Kane murmured against Emma's hair. "If you hadn't been hiding that day, trying to avoid attention, we might never have met," she finished. "Sometimes the best things happen when we're not following the plan." Kane thought about the journey that had brought them here, from a rain-slicked sidewalk where a struggling father had made a simple choice, to this moment of complete belonging. "I'm glad your plan got derailed." Emma smiled up at him, her eyes reflecting the starlight and the promise of their future together. "It wasn't derailed, Kane. It was perfected,"